calls me Master Bong. Kasi yun ang tawag sa akin doon dati sa palasyo, Master. Yun ang, Miss Irene, ako si Master. And if she calls me Master Bong, I call her Congresswoman Knight. Yung Congresswoman, bago na lang yun. But Naida has been with working, as she was saying, and she is a close family friend, not only because of my Uncle Popoy, but also because all her other relatives who are all very close to the Marcos family. Thank you very much for, as I said, that very charming introduction. Congressman Harry, of course, thank you also for putting together this occasion for me to be with the different chambers, for different Rotary clubs that have attended here today, represented by their president, President Benson Harry Ong of the Quiapo Casa Miranda Rotary Club, Ms. Susan De Jesus of the Rotary Club of Chinatown, Mr. Wilson Signi, the Rotary Club of Bagong Bayan, President of the Rotary Club of San Ildefonso, Bulacan. May find a chance and opportunity to come here. Ms. Jacqueline Bernardo, Ms. Maylin is the past President of the Rotary Club of Chinatown. Of course, my previous colleague was definitely my friend. And itong si Kopopet, di na nagsawa sa politika, tumakbo pa rin ng district governor. I sometimes marvel, actually, at when I see what a district governor has to do. It is a great deal, first of all, to run in the elections for district governor is no mean feat, at malaki-laki ang cooperate. And then the work that is involved really leads me to believe that those who have chosen to run for such positions are in fact committed to the service of the Rotary Club. I would like also to greet my I often recently often visitor to the Senate and to visit again tomorrow. Our former Chief of Staff, General Katapang, na siguro kahit na kaibigan kami, he would rather not have to come anymore and see me tomorrow. But never mind, we will make sure that we will be thorough and we will be fair, as always, as we try to do. Also, I hear is General Queron, who is properly addressed now as Ambassador. The other members of all the Rotary clubs here today, magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. I am thankful that I'm grateful for this kind invitation that you have extended me to speak on what are the developments as I see them in the political world as I have experienced in the past few years and the past few months and weeks. As you can imagine, I am a member, I am the chairman of the Committee on Local Government in the Senate. I also happen to be the chairman of the Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure in the Senate. However, in my work as the committee chairman of local government, I feel that it is part of my function as chairman to continuously go around the country and to talk to our chief executive, especially at the local level. It is extremely important that we go out and continuously try to discuss what are the challenges, what are the needs of our local government officials. It is, although it is clear that local government officials have a common area. There are common areas that are challenges to all local government officials. It is also clear that each locality has its own issues, has its own challenges, has its own circumstances, which make it unique. And that is why it is important not to sit in the offices in the Senate, but to go around and to the countryside and to continue to be briefed, to be aware of what is needed, what we in the national government, in the legislature can do to continue to provide the services that our countrymen are expecting and are needing. And I have to say that we hear still the same issues and challenges that we have heard many years now. And they are to do with things like the prices of commodities are too high, lack of jobs, masyadong maraming mahirap, masyadong kulang ang ating agrikultura na development, yung ating edukasyon, napapag-usapan ng K-12. However, I have to make specific mention of one issue, which I find that is something that is a very, shall we say, ominous development. I have been running surveys on the issues that concern and our local officials, not only our local officials, but our country. And we, as I said, we hear of all of these issues, as I have tried to enumerate some of them. But it is the first time in the last, in a survey that we ran that ended last November, it is the first time in maybe 35 years that I have been running such surveys that at the top of the list is now the spread of and the distribution of illegal drugs. It is a very bad development. And the statistics go even further as to say that 92% of the barangays in Metro Manila are infested by these drug syndicates. Why is it so worrisome? Well, for one thing, alam naman natin na pagka pumasok ang sindikato sa isang lugar, may kasama dyan na kriminalidad, na kaharasan, at nararamdaman ng taong bayan ito. At bukod pa rin, beyond that, we know that the drug syndicates victimize young people. That they go after the schools, they go after students, they go after young people. And we always say, how many times have we heard the quotation, ang ating kabataan ang pag-asa ng ating bayan. Ngayon, kung yan ang kinabukasan natin, at pag sinira na ng mga drug syndicate ang buhay ng ating mga kabataan, parang winasak na rin nila ang kinabukasan ng ating bansa. Kaya ito ay napakalaking kailangan nga bigyan natin ng prioridad at bigyan natin ng kahit paano bigyan ng solusyon na para ito ay malutas na o masimulan man lang na mabawasan ang pagkalat ng illegal na droga. Kailangan natin, kilala naman natin kung sino sila, kilala naman natin kung sino ang mga na-involve. Meron na tayong napalitan na siyempre ng PDEA, nahuli na sangkot sa pag-produce, pagluluto ng sabu. Kung gano'n na ang sitwasyon, ay talagang magiging malala. Kahit na sinasabi, kasi marami sa pera, nabibili yung mga iba sa pulis, nabibili yung mga prosecutor, nasa suhulan ng mga judge. Kahit na makulong, tuloy pa rin ang kanilang pagluluto dun sa loob ng kulungan. And this is a very bad situation that we really have to give attention to. And it is not as simple or easy to plan. Tignan natin ang naging problema sa Amerika. Ang Amerika, sa tagal ng panahon, ang ginastos nila para ipaglaban ang kanilang itinatawag na war on drugs. They have not spent millions of dollars. They have not spent billions of dollars. They have spent trillions of dollars. And still, we see that the drug menace continues to spread and continues to worsen. So, kung ganun, na hindi sapat na binibigyan natin ng malaking pondo ang ating mga pulis, ang ating mga law enforcers, ang ating mga ahensya sa gobyerno para tasin ang problema ito, paano ang sagot? Ano ang gagawin natin? And I think that this is a prime example where we must engage all the sectors of society to work with this problem. The reason I say that is that when I look at other countries, and I look at the experience of the United States, and I look at other countries where the drug menace is not quite so widespread. The thing that I find that is common to those countries where the drug problem is not as heavy as it is in other places is the strength of the family, the strength of the values formation, na maganda ang tulong ng ating mga magulang sa mga kabataan. Maganda ang itinuro ng ating mga guro sa ating kabataan. Kaya pagka tayo ay nahaharap dito sa ganitong klaseng problema, I think that this is an instance, this is a situation where what is demanded of us is, as I said, to engage all of the sectors of society. Huwag natin sasabihin, ang problema lang yan ng pulis, problema lang yan ng PIDEA. Problema nga nila, dahil yan ang kanilang katungkulan. Ngunit, dapat isama na rin natin dyan sa magiging solusyon sa problema yan. Kasama na dyan ang magulang, kasama na dyan ang mga guro, kasama ang simbahan, kasama ang mga pulis, kasama lahat ng ating mga sektor upang ipagtulong-tulungan. And this is the reason that I go into this particular issue or particular problem in detail is because it is a very good example of how we should approach the problems that we are facing today. As I look around, I see many of the problems that we are suffering from. And I try to say that, in the past we have found at least partial solutions to those problems. When you talk about mataas ang presyo ng mga bilihin, well, we have to improve our agricultural sector. We have to bring down the cost of production. We have to bring down the cost of transportation. We have to find a system wherein we are able to sell, the government is able to provide access to cheap agricultural products, cheap commodities. And again, we have done this before, and we know that this is going to go a long way to helping that problem. The lack of jobs, infrastructure development is the key. Training for our graduates, both diploma and non-diploma, so that they are ready to enter into the market, not only locally, but also globally. And the problem with education, we have to prioritize it higher. We can. Agriculture, as I mentioned, we have to support it with more education, more credit, more market information, more farm-to-market roads, all of these things. And so we have those solutions at hand. But the question that always continues to follow us around is if we have an idea on how to solve these problems. And we know that the Filipino workforce is an exemplary workforce. Ang galing-galing ng Pilipino, ang huhusay, ang tatalino, ang sisipag, ang tsatsaga, hindi magnanakaw, mababait. Bakit sa galing ng Pilipino? We know this not only because mahal natin ang Pilipino and we have seen that that is the character of our race, but it is also recognized by foreign employers because given a choice between a Filipino and a non-Filipino, they will choose a Filipino. And that's why our OFW program has been so successful. So, sa galing ng Pilipino, sa dami naman ng ating kaalaman para simulan man lang ang pagsolusyon dito sa mga problema nito, bakit tayo hanggang ngayon hindi nararamdaman na umaahon, na nagiging progresibo, na nagbabago ang buhay ng taong bayan? Bakit hanggang ngayon hindi natin masabi na yung mga problemang yan ay hinaharap natin, binibigyan natin ang prioridad, meron tayong mga inaiisip na gagawin para pagandahin ang sitwasyon? Why can we not seem to do the things that government especially needs to do so that these problems are addressed properly? I study the problem, tinitignan ko, pinag-aaralan natin, pinag-uusapan natin, we discuss it with both members of the ATDM, those who are workers in government, and ordinary people, and we try to find out what is the reason. What is the fundamental reason for our inability to once and for all to finally come to an agreement as to how we approach these challenges? And the conclusion that I inevitably arrive at is that there has been a worrisome development, especially in our political, in the way that we conduct our politics in this country. sa nakaraang ilang administrasyon, sa nakaraang ilang taon, ang ating mga leader, imbis na tayo ay pinagkakaisa, pinagsasama-sama, ay tayo ay pinag-aaway-away. Tayo ay pinaghihiwa-hiwalay. We are being separated. We are being polarized. They are defining sides, defining people, not by their abilities, not by their merit, not by their industry, but they are defined solely by their political policy. Kaya itong paghahati-hati sa ating lipunan, itong pagwawatak-watak sa ating sambayanan, ito ay ginagawa lamang alang-alang sa politika. At sinasabi, kayo kami nandito. At hindi tayo maaaring magsama. Dahil kayo ay nasa hindi kayo namin kaalyado. It has given rise to what as I said, I'm the chairman of public works. Ang biro ko nga, meron na tayo ngayon, tinatawag na political infrastructure. Ano ibig sabihin ng political infrastructure? Ito, kaibigan natin si Gong Pagkananan. Bigyan natin ng infrastructure dahil kaibigan natin. Yung isa, si Congresswoman Naida, hindi natin kasama, walang infrastructure. So, ibig sabihin, para lang kaalyado ay tutulungan, yung hindi kaalyado, hindi tutulungan. Parang nakalimutan na ang tinatawag na nation building. Parang nakalimutan na ang kapakanan ng mamamayang Pilipino. I think Congresswoman Nice will attest to this. Nung kami ay nakikinig noon sa palasyo at sa mga function na napupuntahan namin, lagi naming naririnig ang salitang nation building. Paulit-ulit, kahit saan ka pumunta. We are doing this to build a nation. We are putting together the elements of society so that society will be a vibrant, compassionate, and progressive society. And we do this to build our nation. We bring the elements together. All that we do is for nation building, para pagandahin ang ating bansa, para pagandahin ang buhay ng ating mga mamayan. And when I remember that, I try to think, when was the last time I heard a national leader say those words? When was the last time? I will ask you, when was the last time that you heard a national leader say what we do in the aid of nation building? We seem to have taken another path, and I believe it is the wrong path. And that is why, as I go around in the countryside, and I address groups like the Rotary Club and others, my message has evolved. And it has evolved into one wherein my advocacy has become unity. I believe that with all the solutions that we may have at hand, we still cannot implement those solutions unless we as a nation are unified, are one. We are Ilocanos, we are Tagalog, Bicolanos, we are Waray, we are Bisaya, but we are at the heart of it all, Filipinos. Lagi kong sinasabi, dapat natin ipaalala hindi lamang sa ating mga kababayan kung hindi sa ating mga leader na ang magmamahal lamang sa Pilipino ay ang Pilipino rin. Ang tutulong lamang sa Pilipinas ay tayo rin mga Pilipino. Wala tayong ibang maasahan kung hindi ang ating kapwa Pilipino. And with that understanding, we have to once again come to that principle that unity is indeed strength. Na kailangan tayo mga Pilipino ay magtulungan, magmamahal at kapit-bisig hinaharap ang ating mga problema. And that has become my advocacy because I really see it as the fundamental, primordial step that we must take if we are to begin to move our country forward. Now, when the political rhetoric has died down, when the winners of the election has been proclaimed, then I believe it is time for all those who will take their places in the high offices of government to put aside politics, to put aside partisanship, and to once again return to the real job at hand, and that is service to the people. Now, that is easy to say. Madaling sabihin yan. Dahil alam naman natin, pagkadaan natin sa isang kampanya, pagdaan sa isang halalan, kung minsan nagiging maanghang ang mga salita. Nagiging masakit ang mga salita. But it is imperative for us, if we are to be good public servants, to put political concerns aside and to once again put front and center in our priorities that which is the true duty that we have undertaken, the oath that we as public servants have taken, and that is service to the people. In the face of it, that is a very simple idea. It is a very fundamental idea. And yet, it is not something that we can bring to our public lives so easily. Because, for many reasons, we have, maybe you can say that our system our electoral system does not promote or cultivate that kind of thinking. That's possible. There is a merit to that argument. Perhaps because of the way politics has evolved in the longest time. But people say, but you know, the problem is that there's too much democracy. That's why nakakagulo. I disagree. It's not too much democracy. It's too much politics. And I know it is strange for a politician to stand up before you and say, in our country, there's too much politics. But that, in my belief, is the truth of the matter. That is why we have things like political infrastructure. That's why we have things like selective justice. That's why we have things like all of the unfair and uneven treatment that we see in society. Because of political, because of politics. Dahil ang nagiging desisyon ng ating mga leader depende sa kulay ng inyong pamumulitika, ng inyong partido. Well, and that I think is the problem. When we have, shall we say, minimize the role that partisanship plays when it comes to governance, then I believe we will move forward. Then I believe we can slowly bring the country back together again. And to say, kahit nakasaan galing yan, siyempre, hindi kong kababayan ko, siyempre, kaibigan ko, siyempre, gusto ko tulungan. Kung nasa kabila, hindi ko naman kilala, gusto ko pa rin tulungan. Basta't ang kaharap mo ay Pilipino, kakampi ko yan. Kailangan kong mahalin yan. Kailangan kong tulungan yan. Kailangan kong gawin lahat ng maaari kong gawin para kumanda. That is what I speak of. That is what I speak of when I speak before groups. When I am asked by the media, I say, let's bring it back. And what about the elections? What about the campaign that we are fast approaching? Ang sinasabi ko, siguro, kailangan natin, importante ang halalan. Kailangan, yan ang proseso kung paano tayo mamili ng ating mga leader. The political cycle is of course important. It's critical. It's central to our function as government officials, and that is certainly the case. But again, once the politics is decided, once the individuals who are to sit in the high offices of government have been chosen, then again it is time for politics to also take its place now in the background and let governance come to the fore. Let nation building come to the fore. Let new ideas come to the fore. It is, and even in this particular election, 2016, when I see that people want to talk, naturally talk about the campaign, alam nyo naman, akala ng tao, ang paboritong sport ng Pilipino, basketball. Mali. Ang favorite sport ng Pilipino, politika. Kaya hanggang basta ako ay gusto nila pag-usapan ng politika. Lagi kong pinapaalala sa kanila. Itong halalan na ito, itong kampanya na papasukan natin, itong halalan na ito, kapag tayo ay maging matagumpay sa resulta ng halalan, unang hakbang pa lang yan. Dito sa ating ginagawang kilusan, this movement that we are initiating to once more unify the country. That is, in fact, the noble cause. It is not to win an election that we consider our noble cause. The great enterprise on which we embark is not an election. The great enterprise that we embark upon is the unification of a great nation so that that nation can be great. And that is why, kaya naman malakasan ko, magbuo ng aking loob, na lumapit sa inyo at humarap sa inyo at hingihan ninyo yung suporta. Hindi ko hinihingi lamang para sa halalan, ngunit hinihingi ko na suportahan ninyo hindi lamang ako, ngunit kung hindi itong ating magiging kilusan na pagkakaisa muli ng ating bansa. Pagbabago ulit na bumalik tayo sa pag-iisip na tayo, mga Pilipino, kapit-bisig, sabay-sabay, tinutulungan ng kapwa Pilipino, makukuha para makuha muli natin ang respeto, hindi lamang dito sa Pilipinas, kung hindi sa buong mundo. At maririnig muli tayo na pinagmamalaki ng mga Pilipino, kami ay Pilipino, taas loob kahit kanino. Support me in this movement. Support me in what we are doing. And I believe we will bring the Philippines to a better place. That is my hope. That is my dream. Join me in that hope. Join me in that dream. Thank you.